Welcome back to Stocklabs, another market recap. We are just about on top of the Christmas season. It was another good week for the stock market. Basically, it was up I think like almost every day this week, and then S&P and I think the Russell gave some back on Friday, but more or less everything is closed at all-time highs. The NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow. The Russell is still quite a ways off from that, but that's because the Russell is full of not real companies, kind of just little small ones that are not that representative of the economy and the overall stock market. So, anyway, for the week, Russell actually did the best, up 5.5%. The Qs were up 3.25%. Dow was up 2.6%. S&P was up 2%. And bonds were up another 5% this week. So the sort of torrid pace that the bond market has been on the last few weeks since the perceived Powell pivot has continued. So 10 years back, I think either right at 4% or right below 4%, something like that. So, 2 months ago it was at 5.25% or whatever it was. So, that's a big move and a fast move. Gold up 75 basis points. That's okay. And crude, I think this is the first positive week in a couple months, up 1%. So we'll see if the commodity trade has kind of bottomed out a little bit. I mean, probably there will be some money coming back into it since, the perception is since the Fed is going to start cutting rates that inflation is going to start going back up, commodity is going to be going back up, and then everything just kind of repeats itself over and over again. So we'll see if all of that plays out, but just, for the time being, commodity, oil stopped going down this week. So that's just one thing. If we look at our mega cap stocks, they did okay this week. Sort of trailed the NASDAQ. Tesla was up almost 4%. Nvidia was up 3%. Amazon up 1.5%. Apple up 75 basis points. Meta up 0.5%. And losers this week, actually, Microsoft and Google down 1.5%, 2%, so somewhere in there. So, kind of a mixed week from these guys, but rest of the market was kind of pumping. So, a lot of times these stocks become a source of funds when people want to go buy other riskier stuff. So maybe just some of that was going on. If we look at the industries for the week, you can see positive across the board. Utilities kind of flattish, up 0.4, but with risk being on, you're not going to get a whole lot out of utilities anyway. Materials up 2.6, consumer up 2.5, financials up 2.7, healthcare lags up 1.75, industrials outperformer up almost 4%, services 2.6, and tech was up 2.7. So not a bad week. Breadth-wise, subsectors, you see a lot of the, we have a bunch that are up over 5%, so that's pretty strong. And most of them are from areas of the market that were just obliterated, basically, from the end of 2021 through 2022, even for most of 2023, they've just been torched. So there's getting some nice relief, if people are going to start pricing back in a lower rate outlook for the economy. A lot of these sectors that sort of rely on financing and things like that, they were under a lot of pressure, but now presumably they'll be under less pressure. So maybe their equity is actually worth something more than zero now. On the downside, okay, we've got cannabis loser, and that was about it. Wholesale drugs were a loser, but other than that, yeah, you see we don't even make it off the first page for the losers. So, broad-based rally this week. And if we look at the overall breadth for the market. We've got 1 to 5 billion, up 5.5%, so kind of right in line with the Russell. 5 to 10 billion was up 5%, kind of the same thing. 10 to 50 billion, up 3.9, still solid. 50 to 100 billion, up 3%, pretty good. And 100 billion plus was up 3%. So yeah, I mean, it looks like a pretty solid week. Even a lot of the market outperformed like the S&P and the Dow. I think Dow was up 2.5, S&P was up 2. So you can see like 100 billion cap companies, they were up 3%. So even better than the indices. I mean, I mentioned some of the TerraCap tech stuff. A couple of them were down on the week, so kind of evens out because those companies are so big. Pretty good. If we look at intelligence for the coming week, not a whole lot on here. So we've got cannabis bullish, we've got FANG bullish, which is kind of like the whole year, the FANG part. And we've got another weed ETF bullish this week. So not really a whole lot to go with on here. If we flip this around to less than, that's right, it's a -4. I think I did this wrong. Okay, try again. -4. Okay, I had it. So we've got the Chinese stocks, bear Chinese stocks are bearish, so bullish China, South Korea, bull shares are bearish, so bearish South Korea. I think this China's trade is actually a little bit interesting because, you know, a year or a couple years ago or something, sort of noticed that the Chinese stocks tend to run into Chinese New Year, and I think Chinese New Year this year is sometime either the end of January maybe or early February, something like this. So, you know, this would set up sort of like a potential trade. I mean, it's risky because these stocks have been just terrible, but maybe it's like one of these things, like it's so beaten down, like it can't possibly lose. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on this bullish China trade, not just this week, but even into the new year, and we'll see how that goes. For the week overall, I mean, yeah, market's overbought, right? So everybody knows that. We're up like 7-8 weeks in a row. But it's kind of just momentum into the end of the year. So, you know, there's not really a whole lot to read into. We got another couple overbought signals here on the overall market. You know, tick down on Friday, but it's whatever. I mean, I don't think, you know, most people are probably shut down their trading already for the year. So really, you can take it easy into the holidays, come back in the new year, see what's going on. Or if you're going to keep playing, then yeah, I think just the existing trends are probably fine. Nothing's going to happen between now and the end of the year. So yeah, that's all from me. Hope you guys have a good week out there, and we'll be back next week, see how it all went. Bye.